How did the Roman Empire collapse because of its currency? They often imagine great wars, gladiators, Julius Caesar, and barbarian invasions. However, one of the biggest reasons behind the fall of one of history's most powerful empires was neither the sword nor invading armies. The real danger was the collapse of the empire's own economy. So, how did the world's most powerful empire fall because of its own money? Let's travel back nearly 2,000 years and explore the rise and fall of Rome's monetary system together. The foundation of Rome's economic strength was a silver coin called the denarius. First introduced in 211 BC, this coin was made from nearly pure silver for many years. People trusted it. Soldiers received their salaries in denarii. Merchants used it for trade, and ordinary citizens stored their wealth in these coins. One of the most important things for any nation is the people's trust in its currency. That was exactly the case in Rome. As long as people trusted the money, the economy grew, trade flourished, and the empire became wealthier. But over time, things began to change. As the Roman Empire expanded, its expenses also increased. Building new roads, bridges, aqueducts, forts, and paying hundreds of thousands of soldiers placed enormous pressure on the imperial treasury. Constant wars made these costs even higher. Meanwhile, Rome no longer had as much silver as before. New mines were becoming scarce, revenues were falling, and government spending continued to rise. The emperors faced a difficult decision. If they raised taxes too much, the people might revolt. Instead, they chose what seemed to be an easier solution. They gradually reduced the amount of silver in newly minted coins. At first, people did not notice. The coins looked the same on the outside, but they contained more copper and less silver. For example, a coin that had once contained about 95% silver eventually dropped to 80%, then 60%, and later to around 40%. This allowed the government to produce far more coins using the same amount of silver. At first, the strategy appeared to work, but it did not last. People soon realized that the new coins were not as valuable as the old ones. They began saving the older silver coins while spending the newer ones. Merchants responded by raising prices because the money they received was losing its real value. This was essentially what we now call inflation. The same loaf of bread now cost much more than before. The purchasing power of ordinary people declined rapidly. The soldiers were unhappy as well. The salaries that had once provided a comfortable living could now buy much less. Some soldiers even demanded payment in gold or goods instead of coins. Confidence in the government slowly began to disappear. When even a nation's army loses faith in its currency, the country faces a serious danger. That is exactly what happened to Rome. As inflation worsened, trade slowed down. Merchants became reluctant to sell their goods, while many people preferred gold, silver, or valuable items instead of money. In some regions, people even returned to the barter system. Instead of using money, they exchanged wheat, livestock, clothing, and other goods directly. This made the economy even weaker. Collecting taxes became increasingly difficult. Government revenues continued to decline. To compensate, the state printed even more debased coins. The economy became trapped in a vicious cycle. By the 3rd century AD, Rome was experiencing a severe economic crisis. Emperors changed one after another. Civil wars broke out, and barbarian tribes constantly threatened the empire's borders. A state with a collapsing economy could no longer maintain a powerful military. The number of soldiers decreased. The borders became vulnerable. Internal conflicts intensified. Eventually, the Roman Empire, which had dominated much of the known world for centuries, slowly began to collapse. The fall of Rome teaches us an important lesson. A nation's strength does not come only from its army or the size of its territory. Economic stability, a trustworthy currency, and public confidence are just as important. Money is not simply a tool for buying and selling. It also represents people's trust in the future. When that trust disappears, even the greatest empires can struggle to survive. Conclusion: the story of Rome is not merely an event from ancient history. It also offers valuable lessons for modern economies. Even nations that appear powerful can face enormous challenges if they make serious economic mistakes. So what do you think? Did the Roman Empire really fall because of its currency? Or were wars and political crises just as responsible? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy learning about the hidden stories of history, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel.